listening to The Chris Maher Show, live on YouTube.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back here to The Chris Maher Show here on YouTube, my Twitter, and the Maher Media co-Twitter as well. You're noticing someone is here on the stream. I've been kind of pumping his tires for a bit as the mysterious co-host. My brother, Paul Jackson. Not actually my brother, Paul Jackson. No? Well, we're not related, but you know, in the other sense, Paul is kind of makeshift co-host, I think, for right now. What's up, dude?
Yes,
thanks for tuning in.
Yes, sir. What's up? Let's go. Chris Maher Show. Big time. We made it.
There you go.
Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be fun. I mean, we got a lot of stuff obviously to talk about, and obviously everybody knows that we kind of do this together. And again, I've said this, I don't know if I've ever said this publicly, but Paul was like one of the first people I thought of when I was kind of expanding to do everything for my personal branding to Maher Media, and now we're here. So yeah, I mean, it should be a lot of fun. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to obviously talk about with the team, and obviously, like I said, Paul does a lot of our behind the scenes stuff, our social media for Twitter, our Instagram. Is our editor for the website, does a lot of stuff. So he's everybody's been chipping in, and it should be exciting.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be fun. A lot of work behind the scenes. Obviously, there's still a lot to go, a lot to do, a lot that people don't really know about yet. But we have to start somewhere, so that's why we're doing this.
Right. No, exactly. And I think for us, we got some new stuff coming out tomorrow as well, so it should be interesting. We got a little bit of a change to our social media that should be coming, so should be exciting. We got some new merch coming out. We're always working on stuff, and we got a lot of things coming, so should be a blast. And yeah, let's kind of get in this one. Mike Knuble for Kickin It With Knuble. Mike's going to be joining us here in a couple of minutes. Also have Vasily Giannarakos from Flyers Nitty Gritty. He's going to be coming in around 6:45ish to kind of talk some Flyers with us as well. So again, should be a good episode. Flyers just finished up the month of October. We'll kind of talk about that a little bit, Paul, and then we'll kind of segue into Mike. Just kind of, just again, simple question here. Overall thoughts just on the month and in general?
Pretty similar to last year. Started hot. Everybody was kind of like, oh shit, this team could make the playoffs. And then, the past couple games haven't really gone the way that maybe some people thought they would. So
right.
Fell back down to earth. Expectations are a little bit more tempered now, but just kind of the same thing. Tortorella teams always start fast. They always start hard. And, at the end of the day, this team is what it is. They're not going to be as talented to keep up with everybody else right now. I'd say just enjoy the close games and the wins while they're here, because it's not going to be something that is maintained throughout the entire season. We saw the collapse last year. It's probably not going to be as bad this year with Coots and Atkinson back.
Right.
But, I would say just kind of savor it while it's here.
Right, exactly. Yeah, no, I mean, savor the good games, savor the fun ones in the beginning of the year, especially that game on Thursday the other night against Minnesota. I mean, they've had some good games. They've had some games that were not so great. You went into the Anaheim game off of the game on Thursday, and you're like, okay, well, this could go well, and then it was just an absolute shit show from the start. You were at that one, and obviously the game last night was back and forth. I thought there were some good moments. Again, Mike Knuble here going to be joining us in about 40 seconds or so, 30 seconds around there. There's a lot of little things to kind of play into it too. As for last night, it felt like there was a lot of back-to-back moments. They kind of, I personally felt like they kind of blew the game a little bit with the power plays. Any quick thoughts before we head into Mike on last night?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. They were 0 for 5, right?
Yeah.
0 for 5, 0 for 6 or something like that. You just need to be better. Get more shots off. Guys like Forrester couldn't score on an Olympic soccer net right now. So, I mean, you just got to kind of keep grinding and figure it out, because special teams is such a huge thing. And if it's not buzzing, then it's going to take away from a lot of your 5-on-5 play, even because the momentum it carries over. If you have a shitty power play, your 5-on-5 play is probably not going to be as good as it was if you would have capitalized. So they need to figure out the special teams.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So let's bring in Mike now for Kicking It With Knuble. Hey, Mike.
Hi, guys. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. We're settling on Halloween. You can't see out the window there, but we're having Halloween and it's snowing. So
there you go.
Yeah,
nice.
So you'll hear some kids coming in and going here. I guess my wife in and out, but yeah, but it's
gotcha.
Yeah, no, it's good, buddy. Good.
Nice. Yeah, it's good. Just wanted to introduce you to Paul, new co-host. Does the company stuff with me.
Hey, how are you, Mike?
Yep, there you go. Paul meet Mike, Mike meet Paul. There we go. Okay, a couple of things. Mike, obviously we haven't talked since the home opener. Flyers finished up the month of October last night for their games. They went 4-4-1 in the month. Some good games, some bad games. Just any overall thoughts on the month in general?
Right. I think that's kind of a microcosm of everything, right? Some good stuff, some bad stuff, but better, I guess, and you can think of some that maybe got away, some that could have done better. But at the end of the day, you're a 500 team, and it's not horrible. It's better than being 2-6, or something.
Right.
So it's like I say, it's something. It's something, I guess. Something to talk about, and I guess not a horrible start by any means.
Yeah, no, definitely. Paul, any questions for Mike?
Yeah, obviously, things have been interesting pretty much as of late. So kind of just want to start a little bit more lighthearted. Did you see the alligator that made its way into Wells Fargo the other night?
A real alligator?
Yes.
Yeah. No, what? Somebody brought it in?
Yeah.
Wally, the emotional support alligator.
Here it is right
here.
Oh,
you know what? I did see that. Yeah, you know what? I did see that. Yeah, that is. I mean, people are so damn weird. Like, I can't. They won't let you bring a little person, but they're going to let you bring an alligator into the stadium. I mean, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
And if you need an alligator to feel good about yourself, you probably should be going Flyers games.
Yeah, I think you might have to, check out some other places that could help you with mental health and going.
Where does that guy sit?
I guess in the disability section.
I guess I would think so. You can't put him in the regular seat. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want an alligator taking a bite of my cheesesteak. So
I would walk by that and think like, well, are they doing something between periods? Like, is some guy coming out and showing some animals, or their kids? He's going down the wives' room and show the kids. Like, the organization brought them in for the kids to show them like some pets and snakes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that was wild.
I don't know. I did see that. Now that you say that, that's
yeah.
I mean, he got denied entrance to the Citizens Bank the other month, so at least he made it in this time.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, I know. It's people.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. I was looking at that. I'm like, of course they would let this thing in. Couldn't get it in at CBP for the Phillies playoff game, but gets in at Wells Fargo. Yeah, so I mean, just kind of going off that. I know it's a little bit of a different topic, but last night's game, considering that was at last night's game, is that the craziest thing like that you've ever seen brought into a game? Is there anything you could think of in your career that's maybe been brought in?
Been brought into a game?
Yeah, that maybe you guys find out about.
I mean, the fact that you can bring dogs into stadiums or whatever is that's fine, I guess, and that's kind of new, I think, to a lot of people. But yeah, no, an alligator or some snake wrapped around a guy's neck or something. I don't know, but maybe somebody had a little gerbil in their bag or something that they needed to like pet, or some little hedgehog. But I don't know.
That's crazy.
That's not crazy, but kind of back to the team there. I mean, like Couturier's kind of given the bump that they needed, right? He's basically a point per game guy. Atkinson's been that bump they need, and Carter Hart is at a 921 and a 2.3. He's given him a shot every night, and so
yeah,
and just scoring three and change a night. It's you're gonna have it's scoring a little bit more than 3 and giving up a little bit more than 3 equals 4 and 4, right? So I think the numbers are pretty telling. I think power play is a little pedestrian in the bottom third of the league right now, and the PK is probably in the middle. So kind of in the middle again, it's just kind of, something not great, not worse, but, and then combine the goalies are, Carter Hart's doing his job, and Erson's had a little bit of a struggle to start, but, the vets seem to be doing their jobs. And then, again, it's finding these spots for the young kids and where Torts wants to put them. And, some nights they'll all be playing, some nights two will be playing, and mix and match them a little bit. So, I think stuff's still kind of working itself out, and they're kind of analyzing day to day.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's interesting because I think with Erson, you mentioned him a little bit. He's kind of had a tough couple of games so far. He had Dallas and Anaheim. The Dallas game, that was his first game since the preseason, so that one you can kind of throw out the window a little bit. He did make some good saves late in that one. Had the one in overtime as well. The Anaheim game, in my opinion, I didn't think it was his best game for sure. I mean, he owned it in post game, but he also kind of, I didn't really think the team was great in front of him. Paul, I don't know if you want to add to that and kind of segue on a little bit, but it just kind of felt like, just not the best game overall.
The Anaheim game was really rough, kind of, I feel like on both ends. Torts actually mentioned the other day, he didn't think that they started bad, and they really didn't. They were trying to compete against a team that was pretty even with them skill-wise, I feel like. Maybe the Flyers were even a little bit better. It was just a battle of pressure, really, and Anaheim was just capitalizing on every time there was a turnover or some sort of, mistake at the blue line. And the defense just wasn't on top of it. Ersson really got hung out to dry for the most part. Sure. I think at the same time, he didn't really make a save to keep them in the game. Like if they needed momentum from a simple stop, he didn't really make those saves. So it kind of goes hand in hand. I feel like neither the team or Ersson himself really helped each other. So,
right.
At the end of the day, it's a 7-4 game. I mean,
yeah,
a couple more saves will.
Yeah, no, I know it's right. Yeah, you need a couple more saves. 7 goals is 7 goals, right? Like it's either a combination of terrific breakdowns, and so that's coaching staffs like we can't, 7. This team's not going to outscore 7. I mean, it's not.
No,
they're going to obviously have trouble putting them up, in a 4-goal game, let alone 7. So. And Ersson, in his defense, it's early again, and he's probably like, well, guys, throw me a bone here a little bit, help me out, like you guys got to give me something so I can give you something back, and so I'm sure, obviously never being a goalie, but God, you're like some nights you're like, man, you guys got to help me as much as I can help you here, and try and eliminate costly turnovers and dumb plays and lost coverages and grade A chances. So on a typical night, if a team gives up 11, 12 grade A chances, that's a good night, and I'm sure when you give up 7, you're giving up 17, 19 grade A chances, when the coaches start really looking at it, and it's a hard way to survive. And you might be able to pull it off every once in a while, but, a young goalie, you got to give them a little bit more than that. And I'm sure coaching staff at that point be like, hey, you got to help a guy out here a little bit and do your part. So, those stats are a little misleading in that right now, but, but I'm sure, get a few more games and they'll see it, and you'll have to make a decision come after, mid-December or something, what you want to do. Hopefully he catches his, gets on his feet there and has a couple strong games before mid-December or so.
Right. No, exactly. And I think part of it too, Mike, is, and, just to kind of add to that, like he hasn't really played a lot either. I mean, Hart's played a lot of the games. I mean, you kind of know that that's how that's going to go. Yeah. I'm not blaming Torts for it. It's just kind of, that's how it's been. Like they've had, I mean, out of the gate, you go from Edmonton, Minnesota, Vegas, Carolina. You got Buffalo in a home and home, and then you have LA on the weekend. And that's just, to start off November, but they had a lot of tough games. And I think it's to their credit to come out of it 500, like you mentioned earlier. I think that's a good thing. Mike, question for you here from me on the D. At least we mentioned earlier, we were a little skeptical on the defense. It's actually been pretty good. They haven't really had too many issues, to be honest. They've had some pretty good collective games. I think Sean Walker looks awesome. He's looked like one of their better D to start the year. Just any overall thoughts on the defense so far?
Well, again, it's, you talk about 7 goals the other day, and then, just giving up those obviously multiple chances. I watched a game last night. The final goal was another defensive breakdown in front, more of a winger over crashing down to the net and not being where was behind him. And I felt if he just held his ground, so it's a combination of defense and forwards and playing good defense and playing well defensively. Like, this team's got to be their mantra when they come in every night. You're like, well, hey, we've got to be good at our own end. And Carter Hart's going to give you 60 starts, 65, maybe if you're pushing towards 70, you're asking a lot. But in reality, that's how you're going to have to get there, is being great in your own end. And Torts will get that out of them eventually. But they won't, that's how it's going to have to be. And with young D, they're going to have to learn on the job, a little bit. And you're going to have to, you really, there's going to be a lot more teaching. It's not going to be kind of like motivating, like, come on, guys, you got to be better. You're going to have to show them how to be better, and kind of change some mentalities. And, it looks like, Sanheim's playing a ton of minutes, and he's, like you said, Walker came in, has been a nice little surprise, and then, Cam York's doing, he's logging some decent minutes, but at the end of the day, those guys are 20, they're young guys, and you don't have that 28-year-old to 32-year-old, Mark Stoller probably counting on him a little bit. He seems to be on injured reserve, and then injured, that's a guy you'd really like to have, because it's so valuable just talking to those guys between periods. And even if he's playing a little bit less, he's going to talk to them and settle them down and be a great presence when they do have film and little sessions. And if they're talking to guys, and kind of calm them down and pull a guy aside and be like, here's what the coach is trying to say. All right, here's what he's trying to say. Okay, like, don't get all worried about that. Always being negative to you. Here's what he's trying to say. If you can do this, you'll be fine.
Yeah. You mentioned pulling guys aside. One of the guys that was pulled aside for 6 games was Morgan Frost. He came back the other night. I don't know, too much about how much experience you have being benched, or just whether it was down with an injury. What is it like, kind of, as a player, to watch your team succeed while you're not out there?
Right. It's always, you're built to get to this level because, you're pretty good. You're a pretty good hockey player, right? And you've made those sacrifices, and you've learned to persevere, and you've learned to climb the ladder on good days and bad days, But you get up to the NHL, and for a young player, he's feeling like, I want to play, and it's hard, it's hard to, it's the competitor in you that, it's hard. It's like you're not pissed, but you're jealous, I think, a little bit. You want to be out there helping the team and stuff. So the trick is really, finding a way, physically and mentally, to stay ready to play, and not, when you do get out there, not to be, have a lack of confidence. And it's such an oxymoron, right? Like, it's like, you're not playing, they're telling you you're not good enough, but when you go play, have great confidence, And so I always tell athletes, you got to kind of be dumb. You got to be kind of stupid and just believe in yourself. And when you get your chance in there, make it simple. Keep it simple. Skate. If you can, get in on the forecheck, create trouble with your feet, finish your checks. And then when a shot's imminent, get to the front of the net, and if you get a good chance of shooting a chance in the house, and, in a good scoring area, put it on puck, or put the puck on net, put that shot on net. And then, as that stuff starts to happen, you start to build some momentum, then you make your plays a little bit more. But for a young guy, Frost, coming in, I would say skate, move your feet, try and finish your checks. And when you see a shot's there, and if it's uncharacteristic of you, then figure out a way to get to the net. Be noticed for something on the positive side, and then above all, be good in your own net.
Right. And to Morgan's credit, he did that last night. I mean, he comes back after 6 games. I thought he was great. He didn't have any points. He doesn't have any on the season. But and that's kind of the frustrating thing, I think, with Torts for me, Mike, is just, you go from, a couple tough games to start, or actually really one tough game to start off the year. You lose the game in Ottawa, and then Frost doesn't see those for 6. Well, it's like, Tippett hasn't played great up until that point. Cates had 1 shot attempt through the first 4 games. And again, that's just attempts. That's not shots on goal. There's other guys that are just like, the leash is a little longer, you know what I mean? And he doesn't, he just doesn't have that, unfortunately. But, outside of last night, I thought he played well. I think last night he had at least 3 quality scoring chances that he set up for connecting. And to Torts' his credit, he doesn't play for 6. But he also does come in, and it's not like he put, he subbed him out for Paling, who was on that 4th line that the Flyers didn't seem like they were going to break it up. They did, and they actually scored a goal. But he gets subbed out, and then he puts him on the second unit. He gets a little bit, or a second line, gets second unit power play as well. So I think that's kind of the thing too, is that he's able to kind of come in and play a little bit. But yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think for him, and it's, you know, doing the little things and kind of, you know, exploiting that too. As for Coots, Mike, you mentioned him earlier. I wanted to ask about him. There's a stat here. He's obviously second on the Flyers in points. He got 8 in 9 games, 2 goals, 6 assists. Some underlying numbers. He has 47 puck battle wins, which is number 1 in the NHL right now. He's got 47, and then Tavares, Eriksson Ek, and Draisaitl are all tied with 38 for second, and then Sean Monahan has 35. Any thoughts on that right there? Because obviously Coots is such a big guy in so many ways in the draws, which the Flyers haven't been great at faceoffs, but obviously we've talked about that before. Penalty kill, power play, obviously leadership on the ice, all that stuff. But the puck battle wins, I think that's a really intriguing number.
Oh, it is. I mean, it shows his two-wayness, right? You know,
Right.
and in fact, all those players you listed are great two-way guys. You know, they do it all. They can score and they can play in their own end. And, you know, I think that's really, really great for the younger players to see. So, you know, here's a guy's coming off injury, coming back in the lineup. And, you know, I mean, he's not taking the easy way out. He's going the corners and he's winning puck battles and getting knocked around and coming out with a puck. So, you know, that's like I said, the Selke in him, you know, that Selke type guy in him. And so, and all those guys that he's with, you know, are awesome two-way guys. So just a great example of leadership and, you know, stuff that Torts like to see. And then, you know, it translates into, you know, point per game on a team that's underscoring a little bit. And so, you know, he's scoring, and that sure, you know, what else it shows you is that he's feeling good, right? He's not feeling like timid physically. You know, I'm not talking about being like worried about winning battle, but just physically how you feel. And if you feel like, yeah, you know, I feel strong enough where I can roll up my sleeves and get the corners, and you know, I feel like I can not be thinking about my back hurting or something, you know, any kind of injury coming soft. So, you know, I think that's a good sign for Flyer fans and here early on. And I mean, it sounds like he's playing every game. They aren't holding him back at all. And, you know, it's, you know, he's playing every night and, you know, playing, you know, what are upper teens and minutes and, you know, maybe close to 20 some nights, depending on what's happening. So, you know, maybe Torts holds him back, you know, in a 7-4 game where it's, you know, sliding away a little bit. Maybe he holds him back a little bit, give him a little rest. But, you know, in those nail biters like last night, tough games, he's going to be seeing a ton of ice time, you know. And so it's good. It's a good positive sign to see.
Yeah, no, definitely. Paul, you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's just ultimately this team is kind of what it is, right? I mean, you're not gonna. There's a lot of things that people can kind of guess and take away from a hot start. We know Tortorella teams, they start quick, and then, you know, eventually with a roster like the one that we have, it's probably going to end up falling off. It's not, you know, going to maintain the consistency that they have right now. Is there anything you would say to people who maybe have really high expectations to kind of temper those maybe?
Well, I mean, I don't want to tell anybody that, you know, not to have high expectations. I think they do it internally in the locker room. They do, you know, and, you know, they're coming to win every night. And so it'll be a good situation. These kids will learn a lot. You know, it's how they take towards his, I wouldn't say it's criticism, but, you know, it's going to be, you know, there's going to be a lot of video. There's going to be a lot of teaching, you know, and that's a challenge for a coach for this type of team, that there is going to be a lot of teaching and there has to be a lot of listening, right? It's a two-way street, you know, and will there be disagreements for the rest of the year? Absolutely. Are there going to be little dust-ups and, you know, and post-game press conference blow-ups at somebody? Absolutely. But, you know, every kid's going to be better in that room and you know, compared to April, and they're going to be tougher. Their skin's going to be tougher, and they're going to be better hockey players if they listen and keep their mouth shut. And yeah, you know, you're going to get hauled in the office by the scruff of your collar and you'll be like, I want to see the principal, you know, and that's how it is, man. I know that's how it is. But, you know, John's super respectful. He's going to teach those guys and help them, you know, better their careers. And part of that is being told things you don't want to hear sometimes, you know, and how to be better and what we need more of you, what you're not doing. You know, it's how you take that, how you digest that, and how you move forward. So those classy young players, you know, the vets can handle it. They'll figure it out, and they've earned their right to be where they are. But these young guys who are figuring it out, like they're gonna have some days where they're gonna be like, and now I'm gonna sit you because of this, and there'll be a reason why so and so is not playing on a certain night. Then team starts to roll, some get some wins. Well, all of a sudden that one night sitting is turned into 3 or 4 because the team starts doing well. And them's the breaks, man. That's the way it goes when you're a young player.
Right. Last one here from me, Mike. You mentioned the vets kind of being able to handle that well. Travis Sanheim did that. He's really handled it well. He's been great. Second in the NHL in ice time. He was like, I think maybe 15, 16 seconds behind Drew Doughty, who was number 1 in the league in total time on ice. He doesn't have too many points, only 1 goal through the first 9 games here for the Flyers, but he's looked really good. I mean, he's played like a number 1 D. Again, we talked about the D so many times and just who would take that number 1 spot. I think Sanheim's, he's really taken that, by the collar and just really kind of earned that and owned that position to start the year. Just any, just kind of thoughts on Sanheim and just his overall game and kind of how he's kind of turned this, ship around.
Yeah, I mean, it's, somebody's got to lead the charge a little bit on defense, right? And you got to take a young group and lead them a little bit. And you look for like Cam York to take another big step. He's getting a good chance. It seems like, I feel like he's kind of done with Lehigh Valley, and probably heading back there. They probably, tell him to get a spot, get a place to live up here, and we're gonna live with you a little bit here. But Sanheim, the goals will come, and again, the priority is going to be keeping him out more than him putting him in. So, if he's steady and big and rangy and healthy, then that's a good thing. And so, you couple that with good defensive play and a strong Carter Hart who's looking to have a good year. He's off to a great start, at a 921 already, and so it's, those are good signs for that. And then, kind of some younger guys, we talked about the Walker kid, Cam York coming up and sounds like, that the Russian Uzamula and Andre are, he's down, they're up, they're down a little bit. Those guys might bounce around a little bit more between Lehigh and Philly. So, but, their top 4 guys are everyday guys are going to have to carry the bulk of the load and have to probably overperform a little bit for that team to do well. And I guess we'll see in another month or 2.
Paul, you got anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I guess one last one. Obviously, rebuild, the whole youth movement is the kind of the big story. But one of the things that kind of goes underappreciated is, I don't know if you saw Nick Delorier against Carolina there, the shift of a lifetime leading to that Hathaway goal in the first period. How important is it to, kind of find a balance between the young players and also developing that like veteran presence in that kind of environment in the locker room?
Well, there's certainly, like Hathaway and Nick are kind of they're in a unique spot, right? They really don't move. They're like 4th line, just their spots, right? So the young guys, when they come in, they're probably playing in the top 9, right? They aren't getting stuck on the 4th line and having to dump pucks in and check. They have a little more leeway to come in and try and make their plays and be comfortable in that respect and get, those top 9 situations and top 9 minutes. So, they're having the veteran guys, I mean, that embrace that role and kind of wear their spot. They've been around for a while, and so they know the game, and they know the game, how the management game of it too, the management side of it, where they slot in. So, obviously they're real anchors in the lineup, and the fact that they don't really move around or come in or out, and rightfully so, they're brought in as unrestricted guys to kind of shore up that part, and help recruits and help Atkinson and Mark Stahl be an influence. So, and those guys are gritty too, the young guys. It's a little protection for them too, it's a little bit, they want to start, okay, team says, all right, they're playing a bunch of young guys. Let's see if we can't bully them out of the game or push them out of the game and make it real hard on them. And then all of a sudden, obviously Torts knows that game, and he's going to send, Nick and Garrett out there and let them run around a little bit and kind of, ruffle some feathers and stir the drink a little bit and see what happens, and then, and provide those young guys with a little bit of, big brotherness, if you will, and kind of watching on the, watching the block for you, and so kind of, which is good. And these days, that's kind of that version, and how the game's evolved, and that's who those guys are, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, those guys, they've added their spark, and I think there's a lot of little things that they do well too. Mike, this is the last one for me, and then we're good. It's probably the most important, probably easily the most important question I've ever asked you, as we've kind of been doing the pod. Favorite Halloween candy?
Oh, candy corn, and everybody hates it. I just read an article just today how everybody hates it. I like candy corn. I know people are, but I like Twix. So I'm already picking off the thing over here. So I've already eaten about 6 Twix bars, and I'm eating licorice, and what else? Oh, Snickers, yeah. But candy corn is just so easy to walk by the dish and just grab a handful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't do too much candy corn. I get stuck in my teeth.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. So. Well, yeah, I know everybody hates candy corn, but I'm like one of the last guys to actually like it. So, read a big article about it on CNN today about how people hate candy corn. I'm like, I still like it.
That's
like, it's not a gummy, but it's not chocolate. It's like some weird, like waxy thing in between.
It's just sugar. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like
straight sugar.
It's just some weird sugar concoction that just compressed, cut up into a triangle.
Right. Yeah. 3 different, and all 3 colors they taste the same. There's no difference in any of it.
And I eat it by the color too. I nibble off the first part, then I eat the next color. And I don't know why.
That's good. There you go. All right. Well, yeah, Mike. Again, happy Halloween to everybody out there and all that. And
I got to get out there and hand out some candy now with my wife.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Make sure you get out the full size candy bars.
Yeah, we did. They already went through them all, I think. We got a bunch of kids early. I think they already went through them all. So we had 3 or 4 boxes. And like I said, it's snowing. You won't get as many kids today, but they've already ripped through those. Those are gone the first 20.
Nice. There you go. Kids are doing it right.
Yeah.
All right, Mike. Thank you.
All right, Mike.
We'll talk to you next week. All right.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
All right, Mike. See ya. There he is, Mike Knuble, Kickin It With Knuble. There you go, brother. Nice work. First Kickin It With Knuble for you.
Yeah, man.
Mr. Twister, what's up, brother? Philly Ghost, NJ Dave. This is funny. This is from the watch party. Yo, Paul, did you know Wawa's got pizza?
I did know. Did you know the Wawa had pizza?
Wawa's got pizza. Yeah, a lot of pizza, dude. Dude, it's $15 for a pizza, and it's a fucking 14-inch pizza for $15.
Damn.
It's like I don't even know the math on that. It's like what 80-something cents a slice.
A lot.
Or whatever. I don't even know what that math. That's probably horrible math. I'm not a math guy.
The math ain't math in there.
No, the math is not math. No. Yeah, we got Vasily from Flyers Nitty Gritty coming in about 8 minutes or so. Should be around 6:40. Yeah, I mean, Flyers are kind of in the thick of it right now. Paul, kind of, one of the things that I at least wanted to kind of talk about was just the NHL so far in general. Any teams kind of sticking out to you? Anything just, off the top of your head? I know this isn't even in the notes, but just anything that's just like, wow, this team's surprising me, and anyone who's maybe disappointed you, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's good and bad. There's both ends. I think pretty much everybody can say, what the fuck is going on in Edmonton? I mean, they're like 30th in the league.
There you go.
You have 3.
They had a good win the other night, but they've been bad.
Yeah, but they were playing Calgary, who's 31st.
They're 2-5-1.
Yeah, like I don't know what's going on in Edmonton, but yeah, they've definitely been really, really surprisingly bad. I think a lot of people thought maybe the Penguins were going to be better than they are right now.
Yeah, they're 3-6. Oof.
Yeah, they are. I think Arizona. I said this to you before the season even started. I said Arizona of the teams at the bottom, Arizona is going to be a wagon. I don't care.
They're 4-4.
Yeah, they're 4-4. Who expected them to be 4-4 for the first day?
They've only given up 21 goals. They gave up 7 the other, or 8. No, I think they scored 8 the other night. They scored 8 last night. I mean, against Chicago, but yeah. I mean, that's interesting too. I am getting a call, but this is the same number that called before we started. That's a scam. I don't know why. But anyway, yeah, I mean, Boston, of course, why wouldn't the Bruins be 8-0-1 in the first 9? Why wouldn't they? Detroit looks good. 6-3, 40 goals for. They've played this, I think, the second most games in the league. Or fourth. There's 4 teams that have played 10 games already. What's one team that is kind of struggled a little bit, I think, for me as I got music playing in the back. As for Columbus, they're 3-4-2. New Jersey's 5-2-1. The Rangers, dude. The Rangers are a wagon. They're 7-2. and like they're getting a lot of scoring. Like Lafreniere's had a good start to the season. They've had a good start so far. Any thoughts on the Fugazis?
I mean, I don't think it's too surprising that the Rangers are up there. I think before they got Patrick Kane, they were a wagon. And then everybody thought, oh damn, they just got Patrick Kane. A lot of people thought they were gonna go to the Cup. They didn't. They got knocked out by it was Jersey, right?
Jersey in
round 2. Yeah,
Mhm.
Jersey in round 2.
It was round 1.
Was it round 1?
Yeah, round 1. Dude.
Really?
Round
Wow.
1. Wakey. Yep.
Yeah, I mean Jersey in round 1. That's crazy. You know, everybody thought they were a wagon. They had Patty Kane, Panarin, Lafreniere, all these guys. Lafreniere, you know, last year wasn't anything special, but he was first overall pick. He's bound to break out at some point, whether it's with the Rangers or not. I mean, he already has 4 or 5 goals. I think, you know, even though they lost Kane and they also lost Tarasenko, they have a lot of, you know, options there. Panarin, Kreider, Zibanejad alone are all, you know, disgusting. So
Right.
I don't think it's too big of a shock that they're up there. But they're one of those teams that I think, you know, kind of like the Phillies were in baseball. They might not
Don't
have.
even get me started with the Phillies.
They
I can't. I still have depression. But go ahead.
They might not have a great regular season. They're off to a good start now. But even if they don't, you know, have a great regular season, if they make it in the playoffs, they'll be a threat, regardless.
Yeah. No, definitely, and that's the thing. Like they're kind of in that. They're just in that mix, right? Like they're right there to kind of just.
I think it's them, Carolina, and Jersey, all pretty much right up there.
Yeah, and it's crazy because everybody wrote them off. Everybody was like, "Oh, the Rangers aren't going to do anything," and it's like, "Oh, well, after New Jersey and Carolina, it's like it's kind of open." I'm like, I don't think so. Like, I think the Rangers are still very much in this thing, and clearly they've had a good start. If you're looking at the West, just kind of where that's at right now as well. The West is again, you mentioned Arizona, the Avs, they are first in the Central. Minnesota is terrible. We played them the other night. They're what? They're hurt too. That is part of it. They get them 38 goals though. That's a lot of goals.
That's kind of what happens when 2 of your best defensemen are out of the lineup. I mean,
well, one, right?
Well, you're down Goligoski and you're down.
I don't know if Goligoski is one of their best D.
No, Goligoski's a captain. I mean,
well, sure Spurgeon's good. I mean, they also traded
Dumba. Body there.
Yeah, they also traded Dumba. Yeah, they put up 38 goals in 9 games, scored 32, 3-game losing streak, 3-4-2 in their last 9. Obviously, I haven't even played 10 games yet. Yeah, I mean, they're on a 3-game losing streak. I can't even talk. 3-game losing streak right now. And they got some tough games coming up. They got New Jersey again. They just played them on Sunday. You got the Rangers twice. Buffalo's in here. I mean, there's some tough games coming up for them. So it'll be interesting. As for the Flyers, yeah, I mean, again, I think it's kind of similar to what we were talking about with Mike, right? Like they go from, you know, a couple good games, couple bad games. That's kind of how it goes. And, you know, you mentioned how you know, the Torts' seasons usually start. That's kind of how it is. I mean, you know, you got a home and home against Buffalo. Then you got LA. We'll be there, and the Flyers go out west for a couple late ones. San Jose, Anaheim, LA. We also got a lot of content coming, which will be really good to see. We got a lot of we have so much cool stuff coming. Like, and I'm not just saying like right now, like ladies and gentlemen, like we've been planning things for the summer and it's October. Like we got so much stuff coming. It's not even funny. I know tonight's, you know, the last day of November or October, and then we go into November. We got a lot of stuff coming for November as well. Again, like we mentioned off the hop. So it should be interesting. A lot of cool things coming to the site and all that too. So yeah, I mean, you know, as for the team right now, you know, they lose last night 3-2. I thought last night, again, it just felt like wasted opportunities with the power play. And that's one of the things where it's like you need a Gauthier, you need a Michkov, you need somebody that's going to take the game over for you and tight.
Konechny can't do all the work. You got to have somebody else.
Right. Exactly.
And right now we don't have that guy. You know, Forrester had the potential to be that guy, but he's he's kind of just fallen off a cliff. I don't know where he's at right now, but he can't score. He had that point blank opportunity last night and just couldn't elevate it over the pad.
Yeah, he couldn't score into an ocean right now. It's brutal. Like there's a lot of things with Forrester that I just shake my head at. I don't understand. Like, what is it with him that I don't get it.
In my opinion, he shouldn't even
He's
be
set
here.
up for chances. Well, that's my thing. It's like, can you send him down for a couple of games and then just get a reset? Just give him a weekend.
Sure.
I mean, Christ. I mean, just send him down there for a couple of games and see what happens. He's going to go down there and score like 7 goals, and then he can go back up and he's going to have all confidence in the world. To me, it's the same thing that they did with Joel Farabee. Send him down for a weekend, see what he does, and then you're good.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I just the position that Torts is in, obviously with the lineup, you want to have as many young guys playing as possible. We even talked about this, when we were at the rookie game or preseason, whatever. He just didn't do anything. Like he wasn't noticeable. I think he had one power play shot in the first rookie game that was really good, point blank opportunity. He got robbed on it. It wasn't really not much else he could have done. But aside from that, like he was just invisible. He didn't do anything. Obviously defensively he's been decent, and that's probably why Tortorella set him on the opening night lineup. But when you look at a guy who didn't make it, like Allison, I thought Allison had a better camp than he did.
Yeah.
I thought Tuamala at some point had a better camp than Forrester.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of guys. But we do have our next guest here, Vasily Janarakos. Here, bring him in now. What's up, brother? How are you, man?
Doing well. How's it going, boys?
What's up, man? Good to get you in. I think we might be frozen a little bit. I think we lost him for a sec.
Can you hear me?
See if he comes back. Yeah, we got you. You all good?
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Should be okay.
Cool. Sounds good. Yeah, no, I got you over here. Yeah, should be good. Yeah, obviously we were just talking about Forrester. But before that, dude, congratulations. Awesome stuff.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Personal announcement for you. Yeah, it's great, dude. That's super awesome. Any overall thoughts? We were just kind of talking about Forrester a little bit. Any overall thoughts on just kind of where the team's at right now? I mean, obviously you're 4-4-1 through October.
Yeah, I think we kind of have to just look at their overall start right now and think, okay, even though it's 4-4-1, think about how they've been playing versus the start from last season, right? And I think that's the main takeaway, because a lot of your younger players are still here. Like your Tippett, like your Frost, like your York, despite Frost obviously not getting in until 6 games after the scratch. But I think it's just the way that they're playing now versus the beginning of last season. A lot of the structure in their game was a lot different, right? They're more in their own end in the sense of defending, kind of spending more time in their own end in general. I think you can definitely tell that they're creating more offense, having a easier time, transitioning the puck up the ice. Whereas last season's start, they were defending a ton. Carter Hart was essentially pulling the wins out for them, where even though Hart's been really good to start here, he hasn't been the sole factor, the sole reason why. And
yeah, I mean, last year he was the only reason they won games.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. Like the team has certainly been creating a lot more offensively to start. And I think they've just been playing more with the puck and in the offensive zone. So even though you have a couple back-to-back losses here, obviously Anaheim's one you kind of want to burn the page on. But if they're going to play the way they did against Carolina for the majority of games, they're going to probably win more than they lose, right? When you really take it into account. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, no, you mentioned Frost a little bit. Just kind of, you talked about the start. You talked about Frost being out 6 games, obviously. What are your general thoughts on maybe not even towards his kind of strategy and how he deals with guys who aren't performing, but just the whole Frost situation, the Frost saga?
The Frost saga is an interesting one. Like, personally, I wouldn't have scratched him for 6 games. I think the 2 losses in Dallas and Vegas, despite the fact that they play well, I think you get him back in there after that against Minnesota. But that obviously doesn't happen. I think, there was other players who did not play well too, and probably could have, been taken out of the lineup, rotated out, what have you. That obviously wasn't the case. The team was playing well, but I think it's about time, obviously, that he got back into the lineup here, and you can obviously see that there is a certain part of his skill set that this team lacks. When you just look at his creativity, the way he can pass the puck, through bodies, but also make plays that a lot of players on this team just can't make, right? Like you see the pass that he makes to Forster on the power play beneath the goal line last night. I'm sure you guys have talked about it. Most players on this team aren't going to be able to make that pass on a regular basis, whereas Morgan Frost can create those types of opportunities for you. For me personally, this team's power play has been bottom of the league for the last 2 seasons. You have to have Frost in just based off of that, in my opinion. His creativity on the power play, his ability to enter the zone with speed and slow it down. Like he had a really nice zone entry last night as well, and helped them get set up. When you have a power play that has historically been as bad as they have been, and it hasn't been that great to start this season off either, the fact that he was sitting for so long is a little interesting to me personally. It's not the move that I would have made. But I will say that, Tortorella, in terms of the way he manages the lineup, in terms of how he deals with his players, he's a very honest coach. So in the sense that it could be a motivating thing for Frost, right? You have to look at it this way, right? You can take it one of 2 ways. It's either he's going to come in and he's not going to play up to his potential, or he's going to come in and build off of last season. And I think even though the first 2 periods for him last night might have not started off as you would have liked, you saw him kind of get his legs under him in the third, make a lot of plays, really great pass to Konechny that set him up in front for a nice chance that he misses with the backhand.
Yep.
And that's another aspect, right? Like who else on the team is going to be able to make a play like that?
Right.
Not many. And I think, just seeing him get back into the lineup now, and the fact that all that happened to him already, I really think he's going to take his chance here and run with it. And I think, we're going to see him probably in there for more of a prolonged period now than we did in the past. I'm not sure what's going to happen. Like I'd imagine Paling is the odd man out for now. But it's hockey, so you never know who's going to get injured in the next, 5 to 7 games.
Injury luck too, right?
Yeah, exactly. What do you all think about Frost and just what's going on there and his game yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, again, just to kind of add to it too, I think with Frost, like, I mean, everybody always says that I kind of beat his drum, and that's fine. I do, like I think there's a player there. Like he's not a guy that should rot away in the press box and just like, oh, well, fuck it, he's not playing. So, or, kind of like, fuck it, we're winning, let's just not put him in. Like, that's not how I look at it. I'm like, yeah, you're winning, but you also had, a couple losses in some games where he could have been put in. Like,
well, that's my point as well, right?
Right. Like you didn't play great against Vegas. Like, you're in the game and you got a lucky goal from Atkinson that, 9 times. Probably if Atkinson shoots at another 10 more times, it's probably saved every time.
Well, yeah, that's a lucky goal. Let's be real, right?
Right, exactly. So, the way that I look at the Frost thing is like, you didn't play. I think you had some good. Honestly, I thought a really good overall game in Dallas. Despite the loss, you outshot them. You
should have won
well.
that.
Yeah, exactly. The one against Vegas, it's like you had a good maybe 30 minutes, 35 minutes, and then you kind of faded out as the game went along because Vegas is Vegas. Last like 5-6 minutes of that second period was all Vegas. So I thought there were moments where you could have had him in. And honestly, what really did the fourth line do that you couldn't break them up? Like you broke them up last night and they get a goal from Hathaway when Lawton gets put on it. And that's not just me saying that because it's Frost. It's like, and everyone's like, oh, well, the odd man out would have been Brink. It's like, no, it was Forster. Forster doesn't have to play. Brink has earned it. There's a reason Brink is still in the lineup. He's earned it. Torch just really likes Forster, so that's the thing for me. It's like there's, I just think that there's leashes for some guys that are longer than others, and it's a fair point in my opinion, because you see that all the time. And look, I'm glad he got in. I mean, I think he had a good game. I mean, obviously doesn't get on the score sheet, but I think you're right too with the third period part, Vasily. You mentioned, the point and, kind of what he was doing towards the end. It felt like that way for the team too. You know what I mean? Like they kind of went in, not the best play through 40 minutes, but you're tied. It's like, all right, win a period, win a game. And that's just kind of what Carolina does. Like they might battle with you. And really, if it wasn't for Freddie Anderson, that could have been at least 4-2 Flyers. I mean, they had some prime chances in that third. So, I mean, Paul, I don't know if you want to add to it, but that's kind of where I sit on Frost.
Yeah, no, I think the biggest thing is those just the best way I can say is just flashes of brilliance, really. I mean, you look at this guy's hands, his natural, like, raw skill set is the best on the team. And, you look at those plays like the backhand chip to Forrester, Konechny, whichever one it was on the power play. Not many guys on this team are making that pass, let alone in the league. It's the kid he's got elite natural ability. And we saw him, the biggest thing was those are flashes, right? That's all they are.
Yeah.
We needed to see them more consistently. We saw them more consistently last year in the second half of the year. He's taken those steps. He's 24 years old. He's not going to learn and continue to develop if he's sitting in the press box. You have to play him. That's all it boils down to.
And one other thing for me, especially, and Vasily, I'll let you go right after this, especially because you just signed him to a 2-year deal. You can't just sign a guy and then the coach not play him. Like it's just such a bad look. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not where you want to be in terms of just asset management. You got to think about it from you have a young player that you just signed. You not playing him for 6 games, all that does is throw a wrench into many different things. So that goes from, first off, you lower his confidence. Secondly, if he does not get back in after 6, he continues to sit, then you're opening up the door for the player to say, well, I need to play, please move me. And that happens internally with him and his agent, right? Potentially. So the fact that they get him back in, that's, I think, the main thing to me. So you kind of avoid that situation, because I think if you didn't, you're only walking yourself into that kind of doorway where he's going to want to end up being moved. And then from that point, you also shoot yourself in the foot, because other teams around the league are going to say, well, why would we give you anything valuable back for him when he couldn't even crack your lineup, and you're going to get taken advantage of potentially in a deal, right? So from an asset perspective, it's not the way to do it. So he needs to play. In regards to Forrester, I don't think, he's really jumped off the page yet this season, but I think last game, and specifically, the last handful of games, like Minnesota, more Dallas, I would say, than Vegas. But like, he's had some decent forechecks. He's getting some of his chances. Like the offense is there and you see it coming around. But I think the main problem was for him is he needs a real distributor on the line to have him be effective and utilize his shot, right? Like, he's never been the most fleet of foot. He can get to those areas, but if there isn't somebody setting him up for those looks, it's going to be more difficult, right? Like, obviously he's playing with Konechny before, but he's on the opposite wing. How difficult is it to make those cross-ice passes? You're not always right next to each other. You have Frost at center here. They showed last season when it was him, Frost and Lemieux, that they had some chemistry. So I actually think
that was actually Forrester's best play last year, was when he was at that line. Yeah,
that's what I mean. So personally, like, to have Frost out and in place of him, I thought it was a mistake, because having the two together, I think just their skill sets, you can kind of maximize what both bring to the table. Like, you have a guy that has really good puck handling abilities, really good vision. You have a guy that can absolutely rip shots, great wrist shot, great release. So why not put them together and see what they can do? And you had Konechny in there as the third man in the trio, and he's kind of almost a wild card, where he's a great passer, great shooter. And I mean, let's be honest, I believe he has like 94 points in the last 100 games. So, he's the best player on the team from an offensive standpoint. So to put him with 2 other offensive guys, I think that's the best way to go about it. And for Poehling to come out, I mean, and have Lawton drop down, I think that was the play, because Poehling last season, right, he had 14 points. I mean, he's never going to move the needle for you on an offensive standpoint. I mean, despite being a first-round pick, he's kind of a defensive first guy at this stage, PK type of guy. I mean, I would expect it's going to be him going forward, just in terms of who's out. And I think Lawton brings more offensive punch to that fourth line. And
I
then
agree, yeah.
if you do want to bring Paling back in, even though Delorier is obviously playing well, that's the guy to rotate out, in my opinion.
Well, that's the thing with me too. I think the one thing with D'Lo is like, does he have to play? You know what I
Every
mean?
night?
Yeah.
I don't
Where
know.
I look at it where I'm like, and again, it's not that I want him to sit. It's just
Realistically, though, does anybody on that fourth line have to play? Hathaway?
no, none of them do. But I understand why they do. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like I don't love that they're in the lineup, but
They all bring
get-
different things, right? So.
right, exactly. And this kind of ties into my next one is who's surprised you and who's disappointed you so far?
I think for surprises, it's actually been Sean Walker. For me,
He's on
I
my
just
list, too.
yeah, he's been really good. I watched actually quite a bit of him a couple of years ago, before he had the knee surgery in LA, just like catching late games, and
Okay.
he was in a number 4 role for them before that, and then the injury kind of pushed him out, where Mikey Anderson then almost took his place in the lineup
Took his
for,
spot,
for the
yeah.
Kings. So if you look at it, like, he's always been a guy who can play in the top 4 for you. I think it's a stealthy move by Briere, because a lot of people look at it as a cap dump, but the guy's coming in here and he's, playing almost 20 minutes a night. And he's not one of those defensemen who is playing 20 minutes a night, but it's all 20 minutes are in his own end. You know what I mean? Where
Right.
he's being pinned in his own zone. He can't move the puck out. Like, he's a good skater. He's quick. You can easily see that. And he has some pretty good puck handling abilities, and he's good at activating from the blue line to jump down into the play. So I think just looking at the Flyers and the fact that, they're not the best offensive team, there is some challenges there in terms of scoring goals. Not so far, but there has been from last season. I think having a guy like him in there is a good thing just for the offensive standpoint, and just being able to move the puck up the ice, because if you can't pass the puck up the ice and exit your zone efficiently, you're not going to be able to create offense in the NHL. That's just the way the league is, right? It's a quick attack type league at this point. And then for disappointments so far, I would say Cates. He's looked okay, but I just was expecting a little more scoring out of him to start off. Even though Cates, Farabee, Brink's been a good line, I'm not noticing him as much as I was last season. But you have to kind of factor in, like, it's a sophomore season. He had a really good rookie year. Sometimes there's sophomore slumps involved that happen. So Cates would be a guy for me that has been a little bit disappointing. I mean, York too, to an extent. And one reason why I would say York has been a little bit of a disappointment for me is just that I thought he'd be more involved offensively. I just am not seeing him really jump off the page. Whereas, Sanheim's taking those chances. He's jumping up the ice. You have to pick your time and place, but I think York has more there in his skill set that he can kind of activate himself more and get more involved in these scoring opportunities, where he's kind of just, when he's getting the puck back at the point, he's just sending quick wristers, quick passes off. He's not really dictating play. And I think there's a lot more for him to give. So disappointments, Cates and York, and then the surprise. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, that's kind of where I am too. I think for Walker, for sure, he's surprised me a lot. I think for disappointments, to me, it's Forrester. Like, and again, it's not that, and look, I've been getting so much shit for this lately of it, just like, oh, it's so much of like, oh, well, the only reason that you want Frost in is because you don't like Forrester. It's not that I don't like Forrester. I just don't think he's played well. Like, I think, he's had chances, sure, but how many times we're going to sit there and say, oh, he's getting chances? You know what I mean? It's different with Frost, because it was like, yeah, he was getting chances. Then he started to score. Like, you saw it. I mean, he led the team in points over 41 games. I've said that multiple times. Like, how many times are you going to keep getting chances? It's like he can't bury them. And I'm not saying that doesn't mean that he, shouldn't play or anything. It's just like, give him a reset for a weekend. Like, do what they did with Farabee a couple years ago. Doesn't make the team out of camp. He goes down to Lehigh Valley for like a weekend, puts up a bunch of points in a couple of games, and he's back right up, and he's been a Flyer since. So it's like, just give him a little reset. last one for me here, Vasily. Just any thoughts overall on just the goalie situation and how Hart's kind of played, and then Urson on the other side of that as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, in my opinion, I'm a goalie guy. Like I played goalie growing up. So I have some insight on the position just
Oh, did you?
playing.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, my whole life. So just in terms of the way Hart's playing, I mean, first of all, the calmness, right? Like the thing that impressed me the most with Carter Hart is he makes difficult saves that would typically be very difficult for most goalies look very easy. He's very controlled with his movements. That's continued from last season. There's really not anything to complain about. I mean, he's one of the top goalies in the league right now. Yesterday he had a couple of saves that, you see a rebound goal that you want back there where he kind of gives up a rebound in front. But overall, in terms of the goaltending, he's been a super bright spot for them. Played really well, really good stats to start off. So you can't ask anything more. And I think as he's getting older in his career, you're just seeing more consistency out of Hart. You know that even if he has a bad game, he's still not like terrible, right? Like yesterday wasn't his best game, and they're still hanging in there with Carolina. I thought he had better games, prior to yesterday, despite making a couple big saves in the third for them. And just in general, like with Urson, I think that's really the tough situation. And what's tough is, Urson, he really has never had the experience being a backup before. So he's never really gone this period of time sitting on the bench as much as he had, not being into game action as much as he had. So I think that's affecting his play on the ice.
Yeah,
Personally, I mean, if he's going to be the backup, I don't really think that serves him well for his long-term development. I think it's better off that he goes down to Lehigh Valley. He plays every night. He's the starter for them. And I think they could arguably need it too. I mean, Cal Peterson has not looked great. He has an under 900 save percentage for the Phantoms. So I think Urson could help them. And then you get Sandstrom some reps as the backup. And I think maybe that's what they're looking to do, right? They send him down for the conditioning stint. They're kind of trying to prepare him. And then maybe we kind of see a switcheroo of these goaltenders here. And the one thing, too, I will say is if Sandstrom comes in and he looks decent, the NHL is a league that's always looking for goaltenders. Teams are always looking for goaltenders. At the trade deadline, you could end up trading him for an asset if Sandstrom, let's say, looks good, and then you have either Pettersson or Urson come back up for you. So I think there's a lot of different things you could do. I mean, Urson, I think his main problem is that he just has too much rust in his game, and you're seeing it. He's just not able to get into a rhythm, and I think it's just a lack of play. But Carter Hart, man, I mean, he's an elite goalie, in my opinion. I think he's a top 10 goalie in the league. The one thing people have to remember with Hart is he came into the league at 19 years old. Most goalies come into the league at 24, 25, which is his age right now, right? I believe he's 25 or 26, if I'm not mistaken. So, most goalies are coming into the league right now at this point in time where, he already has years of experience under his belt. So I think that's only going to help him moving forward as he continues to be the starter here. But if it's up to me, lock Carter Hart up right now. That's the move. Franchise goalies are hard to come by. You saw people in the summer saying, well, trade Hart away, and Urson's your guy.
That's going to happen. Yeah,
What,
at some point.
You think he's going to get traded?
No, I think they're going to lock him up.
Okay.
I think at some point, I think they're going to. I don't know. I just have that feeling. Like, it's different with the G thing, and I know it's such a different situation, but no. I mean, it should be interesting. I think there's a lot of little things that can play into that. Especially with Hart, because again, the team's got to play well. I think they have a direction now. I think it's a little different. If we were still had Chuck and everything else was going on and he wasn't gone yet, and you're like, well, knows, now what? Yeah, but I think now it's a little different. I get like I said, that's all from me. Paul, you got anything else?
We asked Mike earlier, so I figured I'd wrap it up with this one. Probably the most important question we're gonna ask, right? Make or break here. Favorite Halloween candy?
Oh, I'm going trick-or-treating with
Don't say candy corn, because Mike said candy corn, and that was such a disappointing answer.
Yeah, that's not my answer. I'm going trick-or-treating with some of my nephews after this. So hopefully, nice. We get some of the candy that I'm talking about right now. Exactly. Yeah. For me, I mean, I'm a Reese's guy.
Okay.
That's my favorite.
There you go.
But like a Snickers, you can't go wrong. So those are probably my go-to, right? A Reese's
Fair enough.
Snickers. It's pretty basic answer, but
Yeah.
what are we going with, boys, for the candies here?
For me, it's fuck. That's hard. Probably Kit Kat. Probably
Okay,
Kit Kat.
that's
Yeah.
solid. That's solid.
Paul, what do you got?
Yo, you know what's underrated? Those you ever had Whoppers? They come in,
Oh
like,
my
small
God,
little- bro, those
Dude.
hit. What are you talking about?
malt balls. Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Oh my God, those were brutal.
Maybe after
are
a couple,
brutal.
maybe after a couple pints, you know, you
Oh my God.
mix some malt balls
The
in.
Whoppers. Jesus, those are the worst. That
Is
I
that like
can.
candy corn?
No, I would rather eat candy corn than that. That
I'd
is
rather
horrible.
I'd rather take the Whoppers than the candy corn.
Yeah,
Really?
come on now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's horrible. But yeah, Vasily, you got any content coming out for Nitty Gritty?
Yeah. So I actually just had an article come out, just talking about, you know, Sean Couturier's impact so far, how he's still, you know, a real impact player in the league. So check that out. We're gonna have Getting Gritty with It coming out on Thursday, so keep an eye out for that.
Cool.
And I'll be in Buffalo covering the game on Friday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Nice to
so
enjoy.
it'll be fun. Hopefully we get some good answers and good questions for Tortorella. So we'll get the content out for everybody and all the Flyers fans.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. So yeah, dude, again, thank you for tuning in, or at least hopping on with us. You know, a lot of good insight, and we'll be looking at your stuff. All right, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks, boys.
All right, Vasily, talk to you, man.
Appreciate it.
Take it easy, guys.
See ya. There he is, Vasily Giannarakos from Flyers and Gritty. Yeah, Paul, you got anything else, brother, or all good?
Nope, I think we're good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so thanks everybody again. This is kind of the new little thing we got coming with the pod. You know, going to be kind of testing some stuff out. So stay tuned for some more updates and stuff like that. Again, we got a lot of cool stuff coming for Halloween, or not Halloween, for November. I've butchered that like 7 times. And yeah, I know we went a little long tonight, but it's, you know, kind of figured out the show last week. Might as well kind of, you know, make up for it. So yeah, thanks everybody again for all the support as always. Make sure to check out Paul, check out myself, all the stuff that we do for Maher Media. And yeah, thanks again to Mike, Vasily for tuning in. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week. See you guys.